Seasoner
and Co.
Okay.
We're going to try this again, are we?
Yeah, I think this wine's really hit me. Welcome to...
Oh, I forgot I didn't do that part.
Oh, you can. Would you like to kick off?
No.
Welcome to Second-Hand
Second-Hand
Haunting, where we read ghost stories out of a second-hand book I found in a second-hand shop and try and make sense of them.
Fun of them.
Sense of them?
Fun of them.
Sense of them.
Fun of them.
Mirth of them.
Wow.
Marvels of them.
What?
Guess what I've got for you today, Ollie?
A Marvel story?
No, not quite, but I'll take it. I have one of my prized possessions.
Okay, so it's a book and it's a prized possession?
It is indeed. It is a copy of the Ingoldsby Legends, or Mirth and Marvels by Thomas Ingoldsby, Esquire.
That's where the Marvel comes from, huh? Are we marveling at this?
Well, we'll be marvelling at something, that's for sure.
Is this a ghost story?
It is an awful lot of things.
Okay.
So Thomas...
Can it be anything you want it to be?
It can be anything Thomas Ingoldsby wanted it to have been.
Wink, wink.
Stop that. He does get rather bawdy. It's wonderful. So, Thomas Ingoldsby was a man in the early...
The myth.
the Marvel. A man in the early 1800s who was a wealthy son of Tappington Manor.
Ooh.
Yes, so he's rather wealthy, rather bored, and what he rather liked to do was write letters in to the local New Monthly magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So this book is a collection of everything he ever wrote in to his local newspaper, basically.
While he was kicking about the manor.
Yeah, he seems to have a particular penchant for investigating local Kentish legends. So Tappington Manor is in Kent. And he has published them for all to read. The little twist being...
Love the twist.
The man was a poet.
And did he know it?
He sure did. And he called himself out when he wasn't too, so heads up. Our story today is going to be in verse.
Oh, fun.
Yep. It's also going to be extremely old.
Okay.
Like I said, early 1800s. This hasn't been updated at all. This is original words. And because of that, I haven't done what I normally do and checked out every weird reference or spelling or pronunciation that I might get stuck on.
Okay.
Because there'll be like one every line and we'd never get through it. So what I'm going to do is just read the poem as it is as best I can. I will take a break every stanza to give you an opportunity to jump in. And I think I would appreciate if you don't jump in halfway through a line.
Sure.
Now, he didn't just publish these poems in his local newsletter willy-nilly. He did include a little bit at the start of each poem before he got into it. Mm-hmm. So that is where I will begin today. Respect for the feelings of an honourable family nearly connected with the Ingoldsbys has induced me to veil the real sponsorial and patronymic appellations of my next hero under the sobriquet interfering neither with rhyme nor rhythm. Which I think just means he's changed some names, but not so much that he's ruining his own rhyme scheme. Mm-hmm. I shall merely add that every incident in the story bears on the face of it the stamp of veracity, and that many persons of honour in the country of Berks, who well recollected Sir George Rooke's expedition against Gibraltar, would, if they were now alive, gladly bear testimony to the truth of every syllable. I did say it was old language, didn't I?
Yeah.
What he's trying to say there is anyone else who was on this voyage to Gibraltar would back this guy up in saying that, yeah, this happened, this is true. Strap in, boys and girls. For this is The Legend of Hamilton Tighe by Thomas Ingoldsby, Esquire of Tappington Manor. The captain is walking his quarter deck with a troubled brow and a bended neck, one eye down through the hatchway cast, the other turned up to the truck on the mast. Yet none of the crew may venture to hint, our skipper hath gotten a sinister squint. So that's the length of stanza.
Right, okay. So it's the general length of the stanza. What's a stanza? What's the stanza with you? So
Fuck. No, a stanza is think of a paragraph of poetry.
Oh,
so
sure.
it's a section, self-contained section, which rhymes within itself, but the format would be repeated several times. Mm-hmm. By the way, this poem is not short; it's several pages long.
Lovely.
I don't know if that makes it an epic poem or not.
Sounds epic to me.
The captain again the letter hath read, which the bumboat woman brought out to Spithead. Still, since the good ship sailed away, he reads that letter 3 times a day. Yet the writing is broad and fair to see, as a skipper may read in his degree. And the seal is as black and as broad and as flat as his own cockade in his own cocked hat. He reads and he says, as he walks to and fro, "Curse the old woman, she bothers me so." Are you following along okay?
Like just.
Yeah.
So we're on a boat?
We're on a boat. The captain has received a letter from an old woman and he's not happy about it.
Dang.
He pauses now for the topman hail. "Oh, the larboard quarter, a sail, a sail!" That grim old captain, he turns him quick and bawls through his trumpet for hairy-faced Dick. "The breeze is blowing, huzzah, huzzah, the breeze is blowing away, away. The breeze is blowing, a race, the breeze is blowing, we near the chase. Blood will flow and bullets will fly, oh, where will be then young Hamilton Tighe?"
At some point was he
Drunk?
Oh, I was going to say, like, he's trying to get laid. Was that right? Calling out for some dick?
Oh, no, okay. Again, we're talking early 1800s, and this story may well be from earlier than that. Hairy-faced Dick is a man called Richard with a particularly large beard.
Oh, okay.
He will be a recurring character, so I want to clear that up before we go further.
I always thought that was funny, like how the nickname for Richard was Dick.
It is odd, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you think there was just like a Richard that was a particularly big dick at some point?
I do.
Yeah. Like Richard the First?
The second, I believe, yeah. On the foreman's deck where a man should be, with his sword in his hand and his foe at his knee. Coxswain or boatswain or reefer may try, but the first man on board will be Hamilton Tighe.
There was a sword like swaying around at some point, was there?
Yes, so while the captain is reading...
Should we just try and do recaps at this point, like to try and figure out where we're at?
We will be recapping at the end of every stanza, I think.
Is that like, you know, like the idea of the end of the stanza? Like what just happened? Like where are we? What's happening? Well, what's happening? So
this will be an episode where we are more making sense of it than fun of it.
So he was on a boat, he got a letter, he wasn't particularly happy about it.
And while he's reading it, his sailors are all singing the song which I more or less just read.
Sure.
So they are singing that the breeze is blowing, and they're singing that this guy called Hamilton Tighe is like the first one to go attacking another ship.
Okay. And that's part of the song?
That's part of the song. Yep.
Right. I didn't get that, actually.
That song has now ended. I know. I've got the benefit of quotation marks here. I know you don't.
No, it's curious. Yeah, because I thought that was another character that I was trying to figure it out, but no, that's just part of the song.
Oh yeah, don't forget about hairy-faced Dick or Hamilton Tighe.
Oh, so Hamilton Tighe is a character.
Well, he's a character in the story within the story.
Rightio. So he's a character that is a part of a story that's in a song.
Yeah, there you go.
Fun. So
Thomas Ingoldsby is the first Quentin Tarantino, perhaps?
You're right. We should have stayed sober for this. This is a challenging episode that you've put us in.
Something like that. Honestly, I am not 100% sure. Again, I did not look all this up. I just had the time of my life reading this book.
Awesome.
And I didn't stop to think once.
Nice.
I think it would behoove us also to just let some stuff go, because we're not going to understand everything.
Yeah. If you feel like we're going too deep and taking too long, signal me of that for sure.
Can do. Hairy-faced Dick hath a swarthy hue between a gingerbread nut and a Jew.
Hairy-faced nut and a Jew?
Yeah, look, this one isn't the worst offender, but...
Anti-Semitic?
Yeah.
Sure.
Early 1800s.
It's a story. You know, I feel like, you know, people can understand that times
the context of history.
Yeah, context of history.
His pigtail is long and bushy and thick, like a pump handle stuck on the end of a stick. Hairy-faced Dick understands his trade. He stands by the breech of a long carronade. The linstock glows in his bony hand, waiting that grim old skipper's command.
What's Dick doing?
I think...
I thought you said cannon there for a second. I thought he was like going to light a cannon and he was like part of the attack.
I think that might be what's going on.
But then he said cannonade and I was like, oh, what's that? Is that the same? No.
It says a long carronade. I didn't look it up.
Right.
I refuse to. It's not happening. Not today.
Dick has a long carronade. Okay.
But yes, I'm quite certain that means he's ready to fire the cannon as soon as the skipper says.
That's what I thought. Yeah, like he knew his job that he was about to light and fire the cannon.
Yep. The bullets are flying, huzzah, huzzah, the bullets are flying away, away. The brawny boarders mount by the chains and are over their buckles in blood and in brains. On the foreman's deck, where a man should be, young Hamilton Tighe waves his cutlass high, and captive Capord bends low at his knee.
I got that one.
Yeah, all right, lovely, cool.
Yeah. Cannons firing, people dying.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess Hamilton is like a bit of a pirate.
Yeah.
And he's threatening the captain with his cutlass.
Yeah. I think at
brains
best...
are flying, splattering along the walls.
Yeah, I thought I might regain your interest with that one.
Bits of brain on the deck.
Bits of brain on the dick too.
What imagery for our listeners.
Hairy-faced Dick, linstock in hand, is waiting that grim-looking skipper's command. A wink comes sly from that sinister eye. Hairy-faced Dick at once lets fly, and knocks off the head of young Hamilton Tighe.
Oh, so Hamilton's dead.
Yep. Hamilton has been totally decapitated by Hairy-faced Dick's cannon.
Oh.
But don't forget about young Hamilton Tighe. There's a lady sits lonely in bower and hall. Her pages and handmaidens come at her call. Now haste ye, my maidens, haste and see how he sits there and glowers with his head on his knee. So we're not in the ship anymore.
Okay.
We've flashed sideways over to some manor somewhere, possibly Tappington.
Got some handmaids involved.
Yeah, where a maiden that the handmaidens are waiting on has noticed someone, a man, sitting there with his head on his knees. Not bent over in crash position.
Is it the ghost of Hamilton?
Oh, or could it be perhaps? The maidens smile, and her thought to destroy, they bring her a little pale mealy-faced boy. And the mealy-faced boy says, "Mother dear, now Hamilton's dead, I've 1,000 a year."
Did he get an inheritance?
Yep, you got it. This is Hamilton Tighe's wife and son. The wife has seen a gruesome vision of her dead husband. And the son is like, great, I get £1,000 a year.
Yeah, sweet. So Hamilton probably wasn't a pirate then?
No, I think it's fair to say he's probably
like a captain.
I don't even think a captain, but a soldier,
okay.
a seaman in the King, possibly Queen's Navy.
Sure.
England did for a while there own the Rock of Gibraltar. Mm-hmm. They did conquest that from, I'm going to say, the Spanish. Whoever Captain Capord was, they took it from him. That's history that I've probably got half wrong, because again, I looked up nothing. The lady has donned her mantle and hood. She is bound for a shrift at St. Mary's Rood. Oh, the tapper shall burn and the bell shall toll, and the mass shall be for my stepson's soul, and the tablet fair shall be hung on high. Orate pro anima, Hamilton Tighe. I'm at a loss here now. Something religious and funerary.
You were going to explain that to me, actually. I was sitting here looking at you, like thinking to myself, oh God, I hope he explains that to me. And you just, nothing.
No. I think the funeral bell's tolling. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure what the stepson's about. Maybe this mealy-faced boy is not Hamilton Tighe's blood son? Maybe his stepson? I don't know.
Well, as long as he gets the inheritance, right?
Yeah, there's also Latin there. I'm not translating that. Orate pro anima. I don't know what that means.
Anima?
Yeah.
Pro anima. I'm pro animas.
Speak about the life of Hamilton Tighe, perhaps, if this is a funeral event. I'm probably vaguely close. Her coach and four draws up to the door with her groom and her footman and half a score more. The lady steps into her coach alone. They hear her sigh and they hear her groan. But they close the door and they turn the pin. But there's one rides with her that never stepped in. All the way there and all the way back, the harness strains and the coach springs crack. The horses snort and plunge and kick till the coachman thinks he is driving old Nick. With the grooms and the footmen wonder, they say, and what makes old coach so heavy today? But the mealy-faced boy peeps in and sees a man sitting there with his head on his knees. So I think this is the funeral procession. And the ghost with his head on his lap has jumped into the funeral procession. 'Tis ever the same in hall or in bower, wherever the place, whatever the hour, that lady mutters and talks to the air, and her eye is fixed on an empty chair. But the mealy-faced boy still whispers with dread, she talks to a man with never a head.
Talking to the ghost.
Yep. I think her son's starting to get a little worried about her.
He's getting $1,000 a year? Yeah. What does he care?
But also, he seems to be seeing this man.
He's seeing the ghost as well, but he's worried about his mom.
Yeah. Both can be true, I suppose.
Both can be true, for sure.
There's an old yellow admiral living at Bath, as grey as a badger, as thin as a lath. And his very queer eyes have such queer leers, and they seem to be trying to peep at his ears. That old yellow admiral goes to the rooms, and he plays long whist, but he frets and he fumes. For all his knaves stand upside down, and the jack of clubs does nothing but frown. And the kings and the aces and all the best trumps get into the hands of the other old frumps, while close to his partner, a man he sees, counting the tricks with his head on his knees.
It's funny they used to use the word trump back then as well, like trump cards and stuff.
Yeah, so they have more or less described the old game of whist, which this yellow admiral is playing. And I think the yellow admiral is, I guess, the man who ordered the attack that Hamilton Tighe got killed in, so the ghost of Hamilton Tighe has gone around haunting his wife, his son, his old boss.
He's busy.
Yeah. Oh, look, he doesn't have a head, but he's got two legs.
But
Look, this is as good a point as any. Would you like to see a drawing?
Oh, I'd love to. You're going to do
Hamilton
what the
Tighe?
fuck is that?
Yeah. I guess we can come around. So, technically, this drawing is the next scene we're about to get. But, I mean, look, I don't think it spoils anything.
Oh, okay. So he's got his head on his lap. I think you mentioned that a few times, didn't you? Yeah. But it's interesting to know that, he's got his head. Like, he's carrying around his head. Yeah.
How else could you tell who it was?
Exactly. Yeah, good point. They looked quite feminine back then, didn't they?
I know those. Would you like to describe the dress that both Hamilton Tighe and the other man are wearing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got some high heels, buckled high heels, tights. Looks like tights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at them calves.
Yeah, lots of carving out some action. I mean, it's funny to think about it, but I was just looking at that picture of Hamilton on the left there, and I was thinking to myself, if except for the disfigured, severed head, it could be quite feminine.
Yeah, that's the 1800s. Actually, more than 1700s, but whatever.
I feel like, those sorts of cultural things are really interesting. I think that it was style of dress between the rich and the poor was extremely different. The people that were quite wealthy would have probably seemed quite feminine to us today.
Draped in cottons and silks.
Sounds like a great time.
Have you ever felt silk upon freshly shaved skin?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like that all the time?
Yeah, I'm not sure if my wife would go for that. Silk sheets.
But what if she gets it too?
Yeah. I used to have the knockoff of that. I used to have satin sheets.
No, get out of here. No. That's for the poor.
Woe is me.
In Ratcliffe Highway, there's an old marine store with a great black doll hangs out of the door. There are rusty locks and dusty bags, and musty files and fusty rags, and a lusty old woman called Thirsty Nan, and her crusty old husband's a hairy-faced man.
Ooh, like Dick?
Yeah. So now, I guess hairy-faced Dick has gone home and opened a shop with his wife called Nan, who is thirsty for those calves, and I wonder what's going to appear in their front room. That hairy-faced man is sallow and wan, and his great thick pigtail is withered and gone, and he cries, "Take away that lubberly chap that sits there and grins with his head in his lap," and the neighbours say as they see him look sick, "What a rum old covey is hairy-faced Dick." So I think hairy-faced Dick's neighbours can't see Hamilton Tighe, and they just think he's...
So some people
drunk.
can't see the ghost.
No, only people connected to the ghost?
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Guilt.
I concur, dog. That admiral lady and hairy-faced man may say what they please and may do what they can, but one thing seems remarkably clear: they may die tomorrow or live till next year, but wherever they live or wherever they die, they'll never get quit of young Hamilton Tighe. The end.
I like that. It was a cool story.
Yeah.
I had trouble keeping up at the start, but I think I started to get the hang of it.
I think if you just surrender yourself to the verse, it's fine.
That's right.
You pick up enough, right?
Surrender yourself to the verse. To the verse.
Now,
So, here comes the $1 million question, Callum.
yes.
Why did you choose this story today? What motivated you to pull this story up from your collection? What motivated you to bring this story to us? Obviously very different than what we usually read.
It sure is.
Obviously it was an interesting story and I'm glad we did it and thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very curious as to how you came across this decision.
I'll give you one opportunity at this point to guess. And if you can, you will not be a fool.
Are you like jesters? No, I don't know. But I would only but guess that it was a book in your collection that you quite liked and that you wanted to share with us.
I've been hanging on to it for a very special time, Ollie.
Okay.
It's a time that I get to call you April Fools!
Is it April Fool's?
It sure is. This is coming out on April Fool's Day.
Okay. Alright, but...
You seem so annoyed.
I'm not. I'm fine. Everything's okay. What are you talking about?
What if I were to tell you that there is no Thomas Ingoldsby? There is no Tappington Manor. There is a Kent, at the very least. But everything I just read did not happen. Doesn't exist.
What did you do? Right. What are you talking about?
I merely found myself a 1944 reprinting of the Ingoldsby Legends. Not by Thomas Ingoldsby. Instead, it's actually by an English clergyman named Richard Harris Barham.
Okay.
He did live around the time, the early 1800s. He did write letters into his local newspaper.
So someone actually did write this?
Yes, someone did write this.
I thought it was going to be like an AI drop or something. It's like...
No, I'm not that mean.
Actually, this was written by AI.
No, this is legitimately an old ghost story.
So it's actually... So it's still a legitimate old ghost story that someone actually wrote.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
the
it's fiction.
characters are fictional.
Yep.
Okay. Right.
The characters fictional.
Normally, the stories are real.
Normally, at the very least, the authors are real. But in
the
this
stories
case,
are real. Real ghosts, real happenings.
real good time. But in this case, Reverend Richard Harris Barham was a real man.
Yeah.
He did write those stories.
So just for the record, Callum is admitting right now that this is fiction, but everything else is non-fiction.
I'm only going to read from this book on April Fool's Day episodes, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if you'll manage to trick me next year.
I really hope so.
I mean, chances are. You couldn't do the same verse thing. I would remember that.
I think it would be obvious because he is very much a poet. He is a man who had an awful lot of downtime because he basically didn't have to do anything for his job.
Right, because he was rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also married very well, so he had a lot of money, didn't have much of a day job, loved poems, had some serious wit to him, which isn't necessarily on display in this one, but my God, the man's acerbic. And what this acerbic, bored holy man decided to do with his time was he did legitimately research Kentish folklore. Mm-hmm. So there is a nugget of folklore still here that he's written about. I'm guessing something about a sailor, a headless sailor. I don't know.
Not she rises.
Yeah, there you go. But what he did with all of his stories was just made parodies and stuff and put them to verse.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
published them in his local newspaper pretending to be a local lord who didn't exist.
Well, I was certainly had by that fictitious story. And, got me. Nonetheless, I thought it was an interesting verse. Interestingly enough, I used to really like Shakespearean English when I was younger. I'm not sure if I could remember anything from that time or... But
Come on,
I thought
give us one. Sure, you got one in the bank there somewhere.
No, I don't think I do. I mean, obviously, like to be or not to be. Right?
There you go.
But yeah, I used to really like the Shakespearean English style of talking. And I used to, despite the fact that I don't have anything in the bank, I used to like reading Shakespeare's sonnets and plays. And I really enjoyed that English style when I was a teenager. And then I used to replicate it and write my own poems based on that style.
Do you still have any?
No.
Oh, boo! Don't tease that if you got nothing.
Radio. Anyway, I thought it was a nice, stylish way of talking. And I thought that was fun too. You know, I felt like it was a style of English where people really put a lot of effort into the style and the...
He's very style over substance, I'll give you that.
Sure. And I guess like the imagery that it conjures up as well. A lot of good imagery, I think, from those verses.
There's a very good reason why since 1847, these have been published in newspapers over and over and over again. They were collected in more or less this format in 1898, putting 3 volumes of his stuff together, and they've just been reprinted every couple of years since, because it's fun. This is the most fun I've ever had reading a book for this show.
Really?
And I don't think that's just because very early on I gave up trying to take any notes and just enjoyed the verse. I think it's the writing itself.
I'm not sure if I was being very articulate about it, but that was essentially what I was hinting towards before. It was I thought it was a type of English that was fun to read.
Yeah.
Fun to read, fun to replicate. Yeah, it conjured up some really great imagery. And I'm not sure if that necessarily falls into the same sort of category as Shakespeare, but...
that's fair.
But it reminded me of that type of style.
Yeah. Would you like to hear another?
I'd love to.
Yeah. One that we can say ahead of time is not real. It's not even a ghost story. It's just a poem that I really happen to like.
Actually, I love poems. Yeah. I used to really enjoy writing poems. I actually thought that it's what, I started writing songs later in life, and I think that was the beginnings of songwriting for me. It was just writing poems.
Would you like the challenge of trying to put one of these to music sometime?
No.
Oh,
no, thank you.
Very fair. Alright, so I'm going to read one more out. Why the hell not? We're here, it's good stuff. And I'm not going to get a chance to read it on mic again for another year. Mm-hmm. So I've picked out probably his most famous poem. You may have heard of it before. You may not have. It's the Jackdaw of Rheims. Now, do you know what a jackdaw is?
No.
It's like a small crow.
Oh, a type of bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So very, very intelligent, mischievous, nesting, grabs shiny things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Black?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
Do you know what Rheims is?
No.
Okay. It's a city in France.
Oh, okay.
It's a very old city in France. It's a very religious city in France.
Okay.
It's so religious, they have a Notre Dame that's bigger than the one in Paris.
Really?
Yep.
Is there more than one Notre Dame?
There is more than one Notre Dame.
Jesus Christ.
Now, Notre Dame just means Our Lady.
Oh, does it?
So, Our Lady of Paris, Our Lady of Rheims.
Did not know that.
But this particular cathedral is they saw the one in Paris and were like, we're going to do exactly that. But bigger.
Can you pause there for a sec?
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved every minute of it. So, we're going to be reading out another poem.
We are.
Poems?
Poem. Which has nothing to do with ghosts whatsoever.
I don't know where the word poem comes from. Who?
Oh, from Edgar Allan Poe.
Really?
No.
April Fools!
Alright, this is The Jackdaw of Rheims by Thomas Ingoldsby, a.k.a. Reverend Richard Harris Barham. The jackdaw sat on the cardinal's chair. The bishop, abbot, and prior were there. Many a monk and many a friar, many a knight and many a squire, with a great many more of lesser degree, in sooth a goodly company. And they served the Lord primate on bended knee. Never, I ween, was a prouder scene, read of in books or dreamt of in dreams, than the Cardinal Lord Archbishop of Rheims. So there's a lot of God people hanging around.
Doing their God thing.
Yeah, well, not quite, but you'll see.
Naughty, naughty cardinal.
No, not that bad. Although there are some stories where cardinals get that bad in here, and they're quite fun. In one of them, St. Nicholas kicks the literal devil up the arse and out a window.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. Maybe next year.
Santa getting naughty.
The other St. Nicholas. No, well,
there's another
kinda.
St. Nicholas?
No, it's fine. You can imagine that it's Santa kicking Satan out of a window, and it works just as well. But this is not about he.
If anyone feels like animating that, please send it to me.
In and out through the motley rout, that little jackdaw kept hopping about. Here and there, like a dog in a fair, over comfits and cates and dishes and plates, cowl and cope and rochet and paul, mitre and crozier, he hopped upon all. With saucy air he perched upon chair, where in state the great Lord Cardinal sat, in the great Lord Cardinal's great red hat, and he peered in the face of his lordship's grace with a satisfied look, as if he would say, "We too are the greatest folks here today." And the priests with awe, such freaks they saw, said the devil must be in that little jackdaw.
The devil must be in that little jackdaw.
Yeah, it's been an uppity little corvid.
Corvid?
Yeah.
Type of bird?
The crow family.
The crow.
Yeah.
Crows. Of course. How did I not get that?
Crows, ravens, magpies, jackdaws.
They're all part of the COVID. Sorry, Corvid.
Corvid. They're not part of COVID. No. Get out of here with your conspiracy theories. Birds do exist.
Yes, I think birds exist. I don't think they're, spy cameras for the government, if that's what you're going with.
You've said a correct truth.
Although that would be like the best conspiracy ever.
Don't look up birds aren't real then. You don't need
I
to go down that rabbit
I know
hole.
of it. No, I know it. Like I was referring. Sorry if that wasn't clear. I was referring to it. I was referring to that.
I was a little bit worried that you'd accidentally stumbled upon that yourself.
Yeah. Did someone did that start as a joke though? Like I think I'm pretty sure
Yes.
that guy started as a joke.
Yep.
Did it actually take off at some point?
Well, we're talking about it, aren't we?
I meant take off in the sense that people actually believed it.
Take off like a jackdaw. The feast was over, the board was cleared, the flawns and custard had all disappeared, and 6 little singing boys, dear little souls, in nice clean faces and nice white stoles.
Stay away. Sorry, you can cut that. You can cut that out.
Nope. I think that is very fair. I mean, it's written a little bit iffy, isn't it?
Oh, I'm just saying,
I think he knows what he's doing.
Okay. Well, you know what? With your own discretion, if you want me to hear a joke like that in there or not, it's completely up to you.
No. Fire away. Like hairy-faced dick.
Firing off all over the place.
And 6 little singing boys, dear little souls in nice clean faces and nice white souls,
Getting semen everywhere.
Oh, for God's sake.
I just had to say it. Sorry, do you want to start again?
No, I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
Came in the order due 2 by 2, marching the grand refectory through. A nice little boy held a golden ewer, embossed and filled with water as pure as any as flows between Rheims and Namur. What a nice little boy stood ready to catch in a fine golden hand basin made to match. 2 nice little boys, rather more grown, carried lavender water and eau de cologne. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Carried lavender water and eau de lait. Eau de Lune?
Eau de Cologne.
Eau de Cologne.
It's Cologne.
Right. Do you know, when I was a kid, like when I went to like high school, I got into like cologne early. You know, I'm not sure if it was called cologne. I like to like have.
No, back then it was
aftershave.
called Axe.
Wow. No. So
Lynx?
No. I mean like actual like, you know, you get Hugo Boss. Like I started wearing like Hugo Boss when I was like 16. I still wear it today, and like kids used to tease me for it.
Oh no!
And I think
how much were you wearing though?
I don't think it was much, but I think I was jealous. But like I think like one of the kids got like a hold of the bottle and was like, it said that it has like toilet water on it. Do you see like
Eau de toilette?
Yeah. So they're like, oh, you're wearing toilet water. I'm like, wow, it smells pretty good.
I think we've all had that thought at some point, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what eau de toilette means?
No.
It means you only need to put it on once a day.
Oh, well, that's what I do.
Yeah, because toilette is like the morning ritual. And a nice little boy had a nice cake of soap, worthy of washing the hands of the Pope. One little boy more a napkin bore, of the best white diaper, fringed with pink, and a cardinal's hat marked in permanent ink. I thought you'd be pulling me up on diaper there, but...
I got nothing.
Pull-ups. The great Lord Cardinal turns at the sight of these nice little boys dressed all in white.
Ooh.
From his...
Stay away.
From his finger he draws his costly turquoise, and not thinking at all about little Jackdaws, deposits it straight by the side of his plate. While the nice little boys on his eminence wait, till when nobody's dreaming of any such thing, that little Jackdaw hops off with the ring.
Steals the cardinal's ring?
Yep.
It likes shiny things.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it's got that little crow brain going on.
Steals the cardinal's ring because it likes shiny things. Does that rhyme?
Oh, careful. You might be the next Thomas Ingoldsby Esquire.
Well, you know, as soon as I get that rich. And that I have that much time on my hands.
Yeah.
I remember what it was like to have time on my hands. It was a good time.
I still do, but only in the kitchen.
That's a good place, I suppose. I mean, it's not really, because you're still doing stuff, really.
Goes well with rosemary.
Sorry?
Goes well with rosemary.
Sounds like it would. Do you grow rosemary?
No, I grow mint. I don't want to, but I do.
Could you...
the mint grows me.
Could you fight the mint back?
No.
No, why not?
It's mint.
All right, well, what if you took all the mint out?
It'll be back.
It'd be back.
Yes. Have you never fought a battle against mint?
Do you genuinely think that mint would, if you like removed all of the dirt and the mint from a pot, and then you re-put new potting mix back in there, and then you planted a whole new array of herbs, do you think the mint would return?
That pot's bigger than me. It's not happening.
Okay. You really let the mint win, haven't you?
It goes well in water and lamb.
I was going to ask if you actually use it for anything.
So I eat a lot of lamb and water.
Do you put a lot of mint in water? Or do you have to? Because you...
Yeah.
Got to get some use out of it. I'm always surprised at how amazingly strong-willed mint is. And the other day, I literally just took a cutting off one of my mint pots and I put it into a jar for fun. And I literally, all I did was just fill it up with water. That's all I did. And it has grown immensely in the time that I've just left it in the pot. And I just keep filling it back up with water to see what would happen. And what happens is it stays alive. I've seen other plants die that way.
And I've seen other plants take over the world in Little Shop of Horrors that way.
Growing in water?
I don't know. Have you seen Little Shop of Horrors?
I have. Do you know that Venus flytraps only grow in one part of the world?
Yeah.
They're only native
greenhouses.
They're only native to one small part of the world in America.
Yeah.
And they won't die out in the world. They're way too popular.
Yeah, they're too awesome. We're going to keep them around.
Yeah.
Like cows.
Anyway.
There's a cry and a shout and a deuce of a rout, and nobody seems to know what they're about. But the monks have their pockets all turned inside out. The friars are kneeling and hunting and feeling the carpet, the floor, the walls and the ceiling. The cardinal drew off each plum-coloured shoe and left his red stockings exposed to the view.
Saucy.
Like that one, did you? He peeps and he feels in the toes and the heels. They turn up the dishes, they turn up the plates, they turn up the poker and poke out the grates. They turn up the rugs, they examine the mugs, but no such thing, they can't find the ring. So the abbot declared that when nobody twigged it, some rascal or other had popped in and prigged it.
Prigged it?
Stolen it.
Is that another word for stolen? Fun.
Back then it was. Something else now, I think. I'm not going to look it up. Now, I'm just going to call ahead of time that this next bit, I don't know if cardinals used to have magic abilities.
Oh, surely they did, yeah.
But I think just assume they do for this next verse.
Oh,
yeah?
I definitely will.
The cardinal rose with a dignified look. He called for his candle, his bell, and his book. In holy anger and pious grief, he solemnly cursed that rascally thief. He cursed him at board, he cursed him in bed, from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. He cursed him in sleeping, that every night he should dream of the devil and wake in a fright. He cursed him in eating, he cursed him in drinking, he cursed him in coughing, in sneezing, in winking. He cursed him in sitting, and standing, and lying. He cursed him in walking, and riding, and flying. He cursed him in living, he cursed him in dying. Never was heard such a terrible curse, but what gave rise to no little surprise, nobody seemed one penny the worse. So I think the assumption is that the cardinal has cursed whoever's stolen the ring, and that curse would physically manifest upon that person somehow.
Oh, as it would, for sure. Absolutely.
That's why cardinals don't curse people anymore.
Because they don't want to see the boils appear on their face.
Yeah.
Popping pustules.
Aren't we glad that the Pope is a pacifist?
Popping pustules? Popping pustules?
I'm sure one of them has at some point.
Doing God's work.
Yeah, that was Pope Zavirax III. The day was gone, the night came on. The monks and the friars, they searched till dawn, when the sacristan saw, on crumpled claw, came limping a poor little lame Jackdaw. No longer gay as on yesterday, his feathers all seemed to be turned the wrong way. His pinions drooped, he could hardly stand. His head was as bald as the palm of your hand. His eyes so dim, so wasted each limb, that heedless of grammar they all cried, "That's him! That's the scamp that has done this scandalous thing. That's the thief that has got my Lord Cardinal's ring."
A small, I think, bugbear of mine in the English language has been that somehow, gay started referring to, homosexuals.
It is an odd thing to have happened. Gay used to just mean happy.
Yeah.
And then people described homosexual people as happy, and that's cool.
Well...
And then that kind of got turned into a pejorative along the way.
And, people... I think I had the... was it first name and last name used to be referred... that people used to have, first name and last names as gay? Gay definitely was,
Sure.
a first name. It was, Gay Waterhouse, right?
Yeah. And
yeah.
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye. Yeah, exactly. So I think that, I respect all people and all lifestyles, but I thought it was an unfortunate thing that happened to the English language because I was like, well, it was a word that, quite like the word, being used in the context that it used to be used. I think that was an unfortunate thing that you couldn't use that word in the same context anymore because it gets often misconstrued now.
Yeah. Alternatively, take it back.
Take it back?
Hell yeah.
I'm feeling gay today. See, this is the problem.
Are you having a nice day?
I am having a nice day.
Then it's not a problem. What might be a problem, though, is this poor little Jackdaw who's received the worst curse from the Cardinal possible. And we have, in fact, another What the Fuck Is That? If you'd like to see artist's rendition of our poor little Jackdaw wandering into these priests, looking absolutely miserable.
Petrified of what might happen. Oh, is poor little Jackdaw the bird on the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed that. It looked kind of like a rat.
Yeah. It doesn't look well, does he?
Yeah. Oh, poor little Jackdaw. But a bird in a poor environment.
Yeah.
I think the drawings are quite fun.
You know what? That's a good point. I will shout out the drawings. They are shouted out, in fact, by the book themselves. There's a portrait and 25 illustrations by Crookshank, Leach, and others.
No, I quite like I think the drawings are good.
This particular one is signed at the bottom by Leach, and so was the one from Hamilton Tighe.
I quite like those little pieces. I thought they were fun. I thought they were very expressive. I might not hang them on my wall, but I thought they were very, expressive. I wish we could, put little cliff notes of pictures or something with these stories.
That's a dang fine point there, Ollie. The good news is, because this book is more than 100 years old, it's all in public domain, and is in fact also on Project Gutenberg. So in the description of today's episode, I'll put a link to that, so that if you do want to go and read any of this yourself and see the drawings, I think they're on there too. It's all up there.
Could you post them to an Instagram or something?
I could, but I don't think I want to.
Fair enough. Wow.
I would rather
Sorry,
support.
folks.
I would rather support the good work from the folks at Project Gutenberg of trying to archive humanity's output.
Could you throw some links to that or something? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that like I said, go to your podcast player of whatever you're listening to this on. Click on the word description, and there'll be a link there. So
beautiful
to the ebook.
Oh, lovely. I wish everything was in the public domain.
It will be eventually.
Yeah.
Unless Disney has something to say about it.
I was about to say that.
Ooh, I do want to use some of these stories, so I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a story here that eventually gets picked up by Disney. The poor little Jackdaw, when the monks saw, feebly gave vent to the ghost of a caw. He turned his bald head as much as to say, "Pray be so good as to walk this way." So I guess technically there's a ghost in this story, but that's a bit cheeky, isn't it?
Yeah.
Slower and slower he limped on before, till they came to the back of the belfry door, where the first thing they saw midst the sticks and the straw was the ring in the nest of the little Jackdaw. Then the great Lord Cardinal called for his book, and off that terrible curse he took. The mute expression served in lieu of confession, and being thus coupled with full restitution, the Jackdaw got plenary absolution. When those words were heard, the poor little bird was so changed in a moment, 'twas really absurd. He grew sleek and fat. In addition to that, a fresh crop of feathers came, thick as a mat. His tail waggled more even than before, but no longer it wagged with an impudent air, no longer he perched on the cardinal's chair. He hopped now about, with a gait devout, at matins and vespers. He never was out. So that means he's not being a little jerk around the church anymore. He's actually going to all of the congregations.
Sure, so little Jackdaw has repented.
Yes, he has. He has become a religious jackdaw.
That's some of those things that get lost in podcasts, is me raising my eyebrows to that sentiment.
Yes, and crossing yourself.
I did.
Yeah. And so far away from any more pilfering deeds, he always seemed telling the confessor's beads. If anyone lied, or if anyone swore, or any slumbered in prayer time and happened to snore, that good Jackdaw would give a great caw. Yeah, so now he's a narc. If anyone's falling asleep during mass, the Jackdaw's ready. They're like, "Ah!"
Do you know I got thrown out of a lecture hall once?
Okay, was it because you were sleeping or because you saw someone else sleeping and went, "Ah!"
It's because I was sleeping. And the lecturer literally stopped the lecture and asked me to get out of the lecture hall. It was my mistake because I think I was in
I'm on the lecturer's side here, man.
Well, I think it was accounting, and I think I was up the front-ish. I think that was my mistake, yeah. Should have really sat in the back in the corner or something.
Or just not gone.
You know what? It's like they don't even take attendance. Like
if you,
I didn't even have to be there. Like it didn't
then
affect
why were you?
I was trying. I fell asleep. It wasn't for a lack of effort. I think I went out the night before. I was hungover a bit or something. But yeah.
Don't worry, Ollie. I also remember my uni days.
I think I failed. That subject. But in my defense, the accounting subject that I was doing had a 50% fail rate. You know,
Because it was 9 o'clock on a Friday morning.
well, it was interesting because it was a required subject of a commerce degree and a business,
no kidding.
and a business degree. And I was doing a business degree at the time, and so many people that were trying to do accounting that were doing a business degree failed the subject that they actually ended up bringing out a new subject to supplement it.
Accounting for business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I know the one. I know it well.
I took that subject. I passed that subject. That's why I've got a degree.
Oh, God.
But I never did pass the pure accounting.
Oh, dear. Okay, where were we? If anyone lied or if anyone swore or slumbered in prayer time and happened to snore, that good Jackdaw would give a great caw, as much as to say, don't do so any more. And while many remarked as his manners they saw, they never had known such a pious Jackdaw. He long lived the pride of that countryside, and at last in the odour of sanctity died. When his words were too faint, his merits to paint, the conclave determined to make him a saint.
Caw, nevermore.
Oh no.
That's all you got.
Ruin the moment.
Because they made the little Jackdaw a saint. Was that the moment? Was that the moment we were having?
Yes.
The little bird's a saint.
Yeah, he's
Little thieving birds become a saint.
repentant.
He repented.
He saw the error of his ways, became a pious Jackdaw, and they made him a saint.
Okay.
And on newly made saints and popes, as you know, it's the custom at Rome new names to bestow. So they canonized him by the name of Jim Crow. The end.
Is that an actual saint?
Jim Crow? Oh, well, it's a good thing I looked up the history of Jim Crow before I read this one out, huh?
I expected you may.
Okay, I'll ask you first. What comes to mind when I say Jim Crow, if anything?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the Crow?
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not sure what you expected.
I'm envious of your innocence.
Thank you. I am innocent, aren't I?
Yeah, innocent of sleeping in lectures.
Innocently sleeping in lectures.
Okay.
But eventually passing, you know.
So Jim Crow, the brief history would be, at the point when this was written, Jim Crow was an African-American slave character.
Radio.
Right? So like a folk hero, like a Nancy.
Sorry, did we just say hero character and then did you say Nazi? Like how are these things?
And not Nazi, a Nancy.
A Nancy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said a Nancy, like Nancy.
No.
But a Nancy.
A Nancy. Yeah, that's probably pronounced correctly.
Right,
a Nancy.
No, a Nancy, like the African deity. Yeah, no, I know a Nancy. Yeah, well, I know that. God, what was like the Anansi voice?
Anansi voice. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman. Yeah, I read that.
So those stories still go.
It's been a while. It's been a bit, but
yeah. Let's not get into that.
Sure.
So that basic template of stories got ported over to America during the slave trade, and they came up with the character of Jim Crow, who was the same kind of like, is he a spider? Is he a guy? It's kind of both, whatever. He's just like a fun, light-hearted trickster folklore guy of like, he gets the better of everyone, but in a sneaky kind of Bugs Bunny way.
Sure, but he's a crow.
Yeah, well, it was a black guy named Jim Crow, also he'll peel for shiny stuff like a crow, but also you can see how that might be a little bit problematic in the 1830s.
Oh, not like the blackface guy.
Well, that's the next thing that happened. A white guy caught wind of this character and was like, great, I'm going to do a stage play and I'm going to play Jim Crow in blackface.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where the character of Jim Crow was at this point in time.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I think I actually have heard it. Like that rings a bell to me because I mean, obviously that triggered. I was able to connect the dots to bigotry and racism.
Yeah, that's where the name of Jim Crow went later. Then, of course, America passed the Jim Crow laws in order to attempt to keep the black population oppressed in Southern America in the early 1900s.
Oh, really? What were those laws?
Oh, let's not.
Okay.
I think that's well beyond the remit of our particular podcast.
Yeah, that would be...
That
why
would
the
be
fuck did that happen?
Secondhand.
Secondhand? Why the fuck did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to get into that. But anyway.
That would be dark comedy. Oh, this is dark comedy.
At the time... At the time, calling a cheeky little Jackdaw who stole the ring and became a saint Jim Crow is an extremely light-hearted, well-meaning name.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I'm sure. I sure they meant well.
Well, Ollie, would you like to try and find an MVP from either of our poems this evening?
Ah, look. So many MVPs. My God.
I mean,
I
there's
tell
like
you,
4, 5?
First of all, sometimes we read stories and we're like, who's the MVP? And
Is there even a character
that we could put forward for an MVP? The reason why we invented like the most important word was, I think, for an episode where we couldn't find an MVP, right?
Correct. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So to have like an episode, and I think the fact that it's all fictional probably lends itself to having
actual characters
that are easier to find, protagonists that we can choose from. Although, was that bearded Dick? I thought,
hairy-faced Dick.
Hairy-faced Dick. Yeah, hairy-faced Dick was a great character.
He was, real trigger happy.
Yeah, the Crow, I thought Jackdaw. Yeah, the Jackdaw was a great character as well. I mean, it's a toss-up for me, but I think, was hairy-faced Dick.
Yeah.
Hairy-faced Dick was my MVP.
Fair enough. I don't think it's fair to try and call a word award when we've read out 2 poems from the 1840s, right? There's too much in there. I'm not going to go back and think about what particular word was best.
Normally we talk about it during the episode as well, and I'm flummoxed, at the moment. When I try and think of an MV...
A word award?
Word award. So yeah, not completely sure.
That's fine. I mean, my word award is going to flummoxed now.
What was the word that we were using to refer to the Crow family?
Corvids.
Corvids.
Yeah.
Corvids.
Corvidae, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to say Corvids.
Fair enough. Good call.
Yeah, I didn't know that word.
I don't think I could possibly pick a favourite word out of all these, but I can absolutely pick an MVP. My favourite character, my favourite fictional character from today is Thomas Ingoldsby, Esquire of Tappington Manor.
Well done, sir.
And a cheers. A cheers to Reverend Richard Harris Barham. You did a good job, my man.
And, happy April Fools.
To April Fool's Day, and to returning for another more regular episode next fortnight on
Second-Hand Haunting.
This week's poems from the Ingoldsby Legends, or Mirth and Marvels, by Thomas Ingoldsby Esquire, a.k.a. Reverend Richard Harris Barham. Episode edited by Callum Patrick for the Peas in a Podcast Network.